Can you all see my screen? Please mute your mic and use the chat box for queries. What is software-defined WAN? So SD-WAN is one of the implementation of SDN, similar to SDA, like software-defined access used in campus network. It's controller based, and the controller here is DNAT, digital network architecture, ACI, used in conjunction of data centers. So application-centric infrastructure includes Cisco Nexus 9000 series switches with the EPIC application policy infrastructure controller to run in the leaf spine ACI fabric mode. The third one is SD-WAN, software defined WAN. In this training, we are going to look at SD-WAN, software defined WAN. So what is SD-WAN? SD-WAN is a software-defined approach to managing the WAN, right? There is centralized management and configuration, and it is one of the biggest advantages of SD-WAN. Like here, for the management, we use one of the SD-WAN component, which is vManage, like NMS, like is NMS of SD-WAN. So we use vManage, a single dashboard, to manage entire wide area network, like whether it's like about the configuring WAN devices, policy, application aware routing, route filtering, redistribution. It's all done from a centralized management server. So in case if you have like 100 WAN edge routers or like 100 sites, different sites, really you don't need to you're not going to do the telnetting or SSHing to individual devices and going to configure. No, they all can be configured from a centralized management server. Either you need a very minimum or basic configuration that need to be done to the edge devices, or no configuration at all, ZTP or PNP, right? And I will talk about zero trust provisioning and plug and play. So at this point of time, you can understand that this SD-WAN, which is basically a software-defined approach to managing the WAN, means the entire WAN wide area network is configured, controlled, monitored from a single management server, centralized management server, right? So centralized management and configuration is one of the biggest advantages of SD-WAN. Cisco SD-WAN is a cloud-first architecture that separates data and control planes managed through the Cisco vManage console. You can quickly establish an SD-WAN overlay fabric to connect data centers, branches, campus, and co-location facilities to improve network speed, security, and efficiency. So basically, there is a seamless extension of wide area network, seamless extension, and the WAN devices, right? They all have a centralized control plane, a single control plane. For redundancy, of course, we can have like more than one, right? It means the edge devices, they do not exchange a routing database, routing table directly with each other, right? There is a central control plane. In SDN, like the component here is vSmart, and I'm going to explain like what is vSmart here. But at this point of time, you can understand that in SD-WAN separates data and control planes, right? And is transport independence. So let me explain about like data plane, control plane, and management plane first. If you look at Cisco Catalyst 4500 switch here, modular switch, right? So basically, first let's have very quick discussion about different planes: management, control, and data plane. So management plane, it means like if a device has a dedicated management port or console port, and the management port for out of band management, right? For GUI access, like with the IP address, and then on the console port, serial console cable, and management port connected via network cable. And most of the devices by default, they allow like SSH and HTTPS ping traffic to this dedicated management port. It means if like we connect our computer, laptop or desktop to the management port with the network cable, right? And if there is IP reachability, I mean like if the IP address of this computer belongs to the same IP subnet, they both are in the same IP subnet, there is IP reachability, then we can manage the device either by SSHing into the device, SSH, or for GUI access, web UI, HTTPS to this management interface IP, right? Console port is another port for like CLI access. So if like we don't know the IP address of the management port, or let's say we want to access the CLI of the device by using serial console cable, then this console port is used. So basically, traffic coming to this management port or console port is what? Management traffic. Management traffic, right? So, like some devices have like dedicated, or in other terms, like in other words, like what I can say, a complete separation of management and another, which is control plane from this data plane. So basically, management traffic means traffic coming to this management port or console port. What about control plane traffic? Control plane traffic, another one. So this control plane traffic means traffic to the device or from the device. For example, in switch network like spanning tree protocol, STP, which is basically a layer 2 protocol, is of course control plane traffic. Routing protocols, like routing protocols, periodically they either periodically like there is triggered update of routing cable, they build the routing database, routing cable, right? So routing protocols, like the traffic either originated by the device or to the device, right? What about data plane traffic? Data plane traffic means user traffic, traffic that passes through the device, traffic that passes through the device, right? Like user traffic. If a device has two different ports, here like a computer connect to this port, ingress interface, and the interface, if let's say connected to the internet, and traffic is switched between the interfaces, that means if traffic is being passed through the device, so that's what data plane traffic. So if you look at this 4500 series switch, so here in this chassis, the control plane means supervisor, brain, which is control plane, so, and line card or input output module is what? Data plane. Means like the RJ45 ports like this, computer connects to this. Maybe the source, the destination connects to here. So they all are what? Line cards. Input output modules are data plane. Supervisor, brain is like what? Control plane. But they both, control plane and data plane, they both are in the same chassis. Like this back plane and which connects both, but they all are in the same chassis. So of course at hardware level there is complete isolation between control and the data plane, but control and data plane, of course management plane also, all are in the same chassis, in the same physical enclosure, and if you look at like, so supervisor, this one comes out here, this is the brain supervisor, right? And if let me insert this supervisor for redundancy, like these are the soup cart and line cards. For example, this one, like RJ45 ports are SFP, like QSFP, SFP plus, like fiber port, like user traffic. You understand my point, what I mean to say, right? User traffic that passes through the device. So in traditional networking, even in this Nexus switches or Cat switches, data plane, control plane, management plane, they all are in the same chassis. In SD-WAN solution, control and management plane, they both are like completely isolated from the data plane. So data plane means customer edge device, WAN edge device, and control and management plane means controllers, right? So in SD-WAN basically separates data and control planes. So here, if like controllers, and there are different controllers, and I'm going to talk about different controllers used in SD-WAN solution. And here, for example, WAN edge devices, completely separated, decoupled, not in the same chassis. What is the transport then? How to connect them? So they can be any transport, because SD-WAN is what? Transport independent, independence, transport independence can be, of course, MPLS or internet or broadband or 4G, 5G network, right? Any transport. So basically, devices here, there should be just IP reachability, no matter what the transport is here, transport independence. So controllers are used to like configure like routing policy, application aware routing, QS, like to the edge devices. So WAN edge devices means data plane, controllers means what? Management plane and control plane, both here. And I'm going to talk about like management and control plane. So in SD-WAN solution, basically SD-WAN separates data, this one, a forwarding plane, from control and management plane, right? So it is one of the advantage, or you can say like one of the feature or aspect of SD-WAN. But the point is, what are other benefits, right? Up to this point, what we understood as like SD-WAN is software-defined approach to managing the wide area network. They centralize management and configuration, transport transport independence, right? Seamless extension of the WAN, wide area network, and software-defined approach and centralized management, configuration, and troubleshooting, right? And SD-WAN separates data and control plane. And tools like even provided by vManage are like tremendous, like there are different tools for the troubleshooting. Apart from that, there is application aware routing. I'm going to talk about that. Cloud on ramp, which provides direct internet access. Even for the SaaS, like the software hosted in the like a cloud, AWS or Microsoft Azure cloud, software as a service, SaaS. Even like we can extend SD-WAN fabric to the AWS cloud. That is basically infrastructure as a service. So SD-WAN fabric can be extended to AWS or like Microsoft Azure cloud. So like there are too many features, right? And I'm going to discuss a few features in today's session. So guys, any question up to this point? Let's have a very quick review like what we have discussed so far. So SD-WAN is one of the implementation of SDN, software defined networking, and SD-WAN is software defined approach to managing the WAN. SD-WAN separates the data and control planes, centralized management and configuration, like from a single centralized management server, vManage. Here it is known as vManage or NMS. vManage basically all WAN edge devices, be that the routing policies, application aware routing, QoS feature, security, all can be managed from single dashboard management server, that is vManage. SD-WAN is transport independence, no matter what the transport is, whether you are going to use MPLS, internet, or 4G, 5G network, no matter, is independence of transport independence, seamless extension of WAN. SD-WAN fabric can be extended to the cloud, which is basically infrastructure as a service. Even it provides like direct access to the internet cloud and ramp, which is a feature like let me explain. So here is my branch office, like branch is device here. Let's say here a cloud software as a service like Office 365 or Salesforce, Dropbox, or any other application hosted in cloud, AWS or Azure cloud. Let us assume that you have dual ASP link to connect the cloud, and what you want that your users should have direct internet access rather than just uh, just routing traffic to the like data center, and then from data center to the finally internet cloud. So back hall to data center and then internet. You don't want this, right? What do you want? You want like seamless connectivity to this cloud hosted applications. So very easily we can configure like WAN edge devices from the centralized management server based on a service level agreement, like predefined values like jitter, loss, and delay. Based on that, we can create a policy here in such a way that Office 365 should be accessible by using ASP1 link if like jitter is not less than 100 ms and the loss is not like more than 2% and the delay is maximum 30 ms, right? And in case if like configured parameters do not match, then automatically ASP2 link will be preferred then, right? Even like there are different ways, even like to connect WAN branch offices to like Cisco Umbrella and like any cloud-based, like security solutions. So that is also possible. We will talk about that later on. But it's another aspect of SD-WAN solution. Direct internet access, no need to route your traffic to the data center or your headquarter and then finally to the internet cloud, no, right? Even if you want to configure like routing in such a way that if both the links they both are not doing well, there's some issue in the local loop, and here like the internet connectivity is good if the traffic is getting routed through this data center or headquarter, so this path would be preferred. over like these two, that is also possible, right? So basically it's a kind of performance based routing, PFR. In Cisco routing, PFR or OER, like optimize is routing. So routing based on performance. And the good feature of SD-WAN solution is like application aware routing. What if like there's a branch office here, branch WAN edge device, VS basically. Let's say there are two different transport. One is MPLS and the one is internet. What we want? We want that like traffic to different applications like the chat based applications or messengers or some other web traffic should be routed via this internet link, and telnet or SSH or other traffic via this MPLS, which is basically application aware routing. That is possible. That is possible, and even there is no need to in case if you have like 50 or 100 WAN edge devices, literally you don't need to just like telnetting to the edge devices or SSHing into it and doing the configuration. No, it all can be done from a centralized management server, which is vManage. So it's all like benefit of SD-WAN, right? So key advantages include reducing cost with transport independence, a single centralized cloud delivered management dashboard for configuration and management of WAN, cloud, and security. Even controllers can be like in the cloud or maybe on-prem or data center, or like you can place like controllers anywhere, no matter, as long there is IP reachability, no problem whatsoever. Template based zero touch provisioning for our locations, branch, campus, and cloud. ZTP or PNP, which is zero touch provisioning. That means there are two different ways to connect the branch offices. The easiest one is like this one, zero touch provisioning or PNP. It means your WAN edge device, if it has like internet connectivity, reachability to the controller, and DNS resolution. So literally without doing any configuration, this WAN edge device can be added to SD-WAN fabric, right? Zero touch provisioning. And I'm going to explain that in later, like how it is possible. And even in case if you have, let's say you have any virtual WAN edge device, in that case also a very minimum configuration is required, a very minimum, right? Minimum configuration. Simply we'll have to configure the system IP, which is similar to router ID, and transport VPN interface should be administrative of the interface IP and the reachability to the controller. That's all. Very minimum configuration. So either no configuration at all or minimum configuration at all WAN edge devices. Seamless extension of WAN, right? Detailed reporting of application and WAN performance for business analytic and bandwidth forecasting. Application aware routing is another good feature. Application aware routing. Yes, like application aware routing is still different from like what we configure on routers, like policy based routing, PBR. In PBR, what we do, like we use access list to match the traffic, and on the basis of that we just like do the routing. So PBR or the like route map is applied to the interface, ingress interface of the router, and then subjected to the policy, like this policy configured in route map, path is selected. Yes, that is possible. That is possible up to a certain extent, because access list is used to map the traffic. Even this traditional router, it doesn't have like application database right? So yes, but we can use like IP and port address to match the traffic, and on the basis of that, path can be selected, right? Which is PBR. So yes, PBR can be used for source-based routing, service-based routing. But this application-aware routing used in SD-WAN is completely different than what we do on like traditional like routers. How it is different application routing? So let me explain. Here, like application-aware routing, first point here, you really don't need to go to WAN edge devices or branch office routers to configure this application-aware routing. No, from where we do? From controller, right? The management server, NMS, which is basically vManage. We create a central policy from this vManage, and this central policy is pushed to the another controller, which is control plane, and the component of SD-WAN, vSmart, and then finally the policy is pushed to the WAN edge devices. So really, we don't need to go to individual device for like configuration, and even like there are thousands of applications already defined in this vManage, right? Thousand of application, but still there is limitation. Like you cannot like add custom application to the list to the database. Applications are already defined there. So either we can match application based on the IP and the service port number, or application is specific like NBAR sort of thing, network based application recognition, NBAR. Both are possible here in SD-WAN, matching traffic based on like IP and the service port, or NBAR, like specific to the application. But limitation at the moment, yes, we have the limitation in SD-WAN also, that we cannot add our custom application to the list as we do in Palo Alto Networks and some other firewall solutions, right? If the firewall has like 3,000 applications, and we want to like create a custom signature for the application or homegrown application, that is possible. But in SD-WAN solution, as of now, there is no way to add the custom application to the list. But there are more than 1,000 applications already listed over there. We can use them in order to create this application aware routing, right? So path selection is done on the basis of application. So it's different from the PBR what we configure in traditional routing. Another good feature here is secure data and control plane operation. What does it mean, secure data and control plane operation? Let me explain this point. So secure data and control plane, right? So basically in SD-WAN here, there is a WAN is device, right? So basically in SD-WAN, there are four components. Let me explain them. So it's now time to introduce SD-WAN components. vManage, vBond, and this V means like viptela. The third one is vSmart, and the fourth one, WAN edge device, right? So vManage, like the management server, NMS, configuration, provisioning, troubleshooting, monitoring, policy, everything is done from here, from this vManage, like one of the controller. vBond orchestrates connectivity between management, data, and control plane. It's a like orchestrator plane, and this one is what? Management plane. Orchestrator, first point of contact for all SD-WAN components. Authentication. So basically, WAN as devices, first they need to contact to this vBond. So the first point of contact is vBond, and then this vBond provides IP address of vManage and vSmart to the edge devices. So edge device first they connect to vBond. So how they would know like what is the IP address of vBond? Either that is configured like locally onto this device with the command vBond and then the IP address, or in case of zero trust provisioning, FQDN is already configured here, like embedded in the like a microcode sort of thing, right? So with the help of DNS, that is resolved to corresponding IP address. So yes, of course, WAN as devices they need to know the IP address of vBond, and then vBond, of course, provides authentication, certificate-based authentication. Apart from that, vBond provides IP address of both management server and as well as vSmart, that is control plane. And vBond also tells like vManage and vSmart about the WAN edge device. So it's all job done by whom? vBond, right? Orchestrator plane, this one. The third one is vSmart, centralized control plane, establishes peering with all WAN edge, advertises routes, data plane, policies, security, everything. So vSmart is what? Control plane, brain, centralized control plane, right? And of course, if we are concerned with the redundancy, so definitely there should be more than one vSmart controller, more than one vSmart controller, right? And the fourth component is WAN edge devices, branch office router, branch office router. SD-WAN, basically this is what? SD-WAN data plane, SD-WAN data plane, SD-WAN data plane. Physical or virtual form factor, even like some ISR routers like ISR 1000, ISR 4000, even ASR 1000, or virtual edge devices. So they also have like like a special code written for this SD-WAN. So they are supported. So here, and netconf like is the network configuration protocol used in configuration. So what happens? This VS device, for example, this one, branch one VS device, it establishes peering, which is OMP peering. OMP is what? Overlay Management Protocol. OMP is like a protocol very similar to IBGP, but not exactly its BGP protocol, very similar to IBGP. And OMP, this like overlay management protocol, run inside of DTLS control plane. So basically, like a DTLS, datagram transport layer security, or TLS, tunnel is automatically established between controller like vSmart and the VS. Inside this DTLS tunnel, OMP protocol, overlay management protocol, run inside this DTLS control plane connection and forms a peering relationship with the WAN edge device, and of course if there is another vSmart controller, then with that also. And this OMP protocol is enabled by default. OMP protocol is enabled by default. So it means like there is a secure control plane exchange here. And then what happens? Now let me explain step by step. WAN edge device, first it contacts the vBond orchestrator plane. Of course, it does like authentication and provides IP address of both management server and vSmart control plane. And it also tells like vSmart and vManage about the WAN edge device, right? Then what happens? A DTLS tunnel is established between WAN edge device and this vSmart control plane. And by default, automatically OMP is enabled, and this OMP protocol run inside this DTLS control plane connection and forms peering, right? It's very similar to IBGP protocol, this one. And so this VMP is by default enabled in transport VPN. Basically VPN, I will talk about this VPN later on, like VPN 0, VPN 512, and some different VPN, which is very similar to VRF concept. I will talk about this VPN later on. So once it's done, then what next now? Now here like branch one side, it has a router here, branch one router, and they're like prefixes 172.16.1.0, 2.0. And let us assume that OSPF protocol is running here in between both the devices. So what will happen? Prefixes will be advertised to this WAN edge device, right? With this OSPF. This OSPF protocol, even no need to configure OSPF protocol onto this WAN edge device. And even we cannot do that. Once like this device is like join this controller, I mean, like the vManage, like if the device is vManage, then even like we cannot do configuration locally on this vManage device. Configuration will be pushed from this management server only. So even in case if we want to do any configuration locally on the device, so at the time of committing, like once you have done with the configuration part, and if you're going to commit the changes, immediately an error message will come up that this device is managed with vManage controller base, and that is why you cannot configure this device locally, right? It means as far routing is concerned, like running OSPF here, like service side VPN, OSPF running between WAN is and the router, that configuration even will be pushed from this controller, right? So what we do initially, we we do a minimum configuration to this device only, even in case if there is no ZTP or PNP. So we do the minimum configuration, bare minimum configuration, like the vbound IP address, system IP, organization name, the clock, and this interface IP address, and then we have to ensure reachability to the controller, like first controller vbound, either through this MPLS cloud or maybe internet cloud, no matter, like either way, like there should be IP reachability to the controller. Once it is done, then after, really you don't need to do anything on the WAN edge device locally, right? And even you cannot do, because the device can be either managed locally or from the vManage only. You cannot mix both. I mean, you cannot do both. Like I mean, like you cannot push some configuration you want to push from the controller and some configuration you want to do manually. That is not possible. That is not possible, right? Okay. So now here, once it's all done, and let us assume that we have pushed the configuration to the WAN edge device, and the OSPF is running between like these two, WAN edge and the like this router or the switch. So OSPF route is advertised to this WAN edge device, and this OSPF route prefixes are automatically redistributed into OMP. It's done automatically, right? It's all automatic. Automatic. So it's all automatic. So by default, V is router. This advertises connected, static, OSPF, intra-area and inter-area routes to OMP. What routes are not redistributed advertised? OSPF external routes, OSPF external and BGP routes, right? So they both are not redistributed by default into OMP. But OSPF intra-area, inter-area, connected, static, they all are redistributed into OMP by default. Finally, prefixes just go to this vSmart, the controller, and then this vSmart controller has another peering with, let's say, branch 2 router, right, and the OMP peering. So the same, like the prefixes will be advertised to branch 2 router. I mean, like the VS router or the WAN is. So in this way, branch 2 WAN is device receives prefixes of branch 1, right? So basically, they do not form any OMP peering. They both do not exchange routing database directly with each other. Rather, they would establish OMP peering with the controller. So controller is responsible for what? For advertising prefixes and as well as receiving prefixes. So prefixes are received and advertised, right? Okay, BGP, why BGP is not used? Because like one of the reason here, like of using a different protocol, OMP, a new protocol, instead of using like a border gateway protocol, BGP is like, the reason here is attribute used here is like, which is known as TLOC, and we will talk about TLOC in detail, because it's very important understanding TLOC, which is transport location identifier, transport locator. So and there are three components of TLOC. One is like the transport, like whether it's MPLS or internet, which is defined with the color. Another one is system IP, which is very much similar to router ID, right? Router ID, system IPs, and the third one is encapsulation. And most of the time, encapsulation protocol is going to be IPsec, and the protocol is GRE. But most of the time, encapsulation is IPsec. So why OMP is used? Just because here, when prefixes are advertised to this vSmart, and then again vSmart receives prefixes and then advertises again to other WAN is routers, right? And this site ID is used as a loop prevention site ID, not in the same site, of course. Okay, so now here OMP protocol, OMP, it carries like prefixes along with attributes like the origin, originator, preference, service, site ID, tag, VPN, and another important attribute here is TLOC, transport locator, transport locator. So here, like if you look at the topology here, there are two different transports, right? One is MPLS, and the one is Internet Cloud. To reach this system IP, the router ID, in fact, right? So system IP will remain same, but transport are different. MPLS and the one is Internet Cloud, which is here in SD-WAN solution, it is termed as a color. And the third one is encapsulation. So basically, whenever prefixes are advertised to the vSmart, so prefixes, they do carry attributes. And one of the important attribute used here is TLOC. So in BGP, as there is no provisioning of like carrying TLOC sort of thing, like, so yes, BGP does support too many attributes like local preference, weight, metric, originator ID, atomic, aggregator, right? You must be aware with like the BGP attributes, I'm sorry, and many attributes are used to like manipulate path selection or route filtering or some other purposes, loop avoidance sort of thing. So as such, there is no provision of like a TLOC in the BGP update, and that is why they decided to come up with a new protocol. A new protocol means OMP, Overlay Management Protocol, right? And the good thing in SD-WAN solution is what? There is no need to configure OMP. OMP is enabled by default in Transport VPN. By default, OMP is enabled. By default, OSPF inter or intra-area routes are redistributed into OMP by default, right? And again advertised to another branch is router here. It receives OMP route, and this like route need to be now redistributed again into OSPF, right? But it's not automatic. Like one-way redistribution is automatic. OSPF intra or inter-area routes, connected routes, static routes are by default redistributed or advertised into OMP, but OMP routes are not advertised back to OSPF. That need to be configured manually here. Right? In this way, both branch routers, they all exchange routing information. Once that's done, then what do you think? Controllers are used in data plane exchange? No. Controllers are not for data plane exchange. Then what happens? Both WAN devices, let me take the color, both WAN devices now, they basically automatically by default IPsec tunnel is established between WAN devices and data plane or data traffic is just passes through this tunnel. So do we need to configure like IKE phase 1 parameters, IKE phase 2 parameters for IPsec tunnel to be established? No, not at all. Because WAN or this vSmart, vSmart, like the controller. Basically, IKE phase 1, if you are aware about IPsec, then you must be knowing about IKE phase 1 and IKE phase 2. IKE phase 1, like the protocol used here is IKE Internet Key Exchange, is for session key exchange and VPN PS authentication. So session key exchange is not required here because vSmart does it. vSmart. Session keys are exchanged, shared with WAN edge devices, right? And even for phase 2 ESP, we don't need to configure anything. Even BFD, bidirectional forwarding detection, BFD is by default enabled and even cannot be disabled. So this BFD protocol runs inside this IPsec tunnel, right? It means there is secure control plane exchange, and I'm going to show you, and there is secure data plane exchange. Secure control plane means OMP peering, this one, our OMP protocol is running inside DTLS, right? Datagram Transport Security, UDP basically. Data plane is also secure because there is IPsec tunnel, right? There are two different tunnels, DTLS and IPsec. And the good point is what? Really, we don't need to do anything for this. For DTLS, IPsec, BFD, we don't need to do anything. Even up to like if we want to manipulate or we want to play with the timers of BFD and all, so that is possible. That is possible. But in general, you don't need to do anything, right? So BFD or bidirectional forwarding detection runs inside IPsec tunnel, and we really don't care about like VFD and DTLS and all that. And here, like even there are different routes here. Like one is like this one, OMP routes, like the prefixes that live in our service site VPN, like this one. And whenever this WAN edge device advertises prefixes like local network routes to the vSmart, so since there are two different transport, so prefixes are advertised by the same device with the same system IP but different transport, right? It means there are different TLOCs, which is very much same as like the next hop IP address, like like in BGP. So here a TLOC acts as a next hop for OMP routes. So recursion is required here. Let me explain this point a bit. So for example, let's say there are two routers, two different links, R1 and R2, and there is ERI BGP peering between both the routers with the loopback IP. And if route is advertised and the next hop IP address is loopback IP, so what router does here? Router performs reverse routing table lookup, recursion, how to reach the loopback IP. I mean, like if there is a route here received by this router and the next hop IP address here is, for example, 1.2.3.4. What router does here? It performs reverse routing table lookup, recursion, how to reach 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there any route to reach 1, 2, 3, 4 in the routing table? And if the next hop IP address, this one is not reachable, then the route is never installed in the BGP table, right? Route will be in the BGP database table, and with the remark like next hop IP is inaccessible. It means the route should be valid. Same rule applies to this SD-WAN solution also. That means if a route is received with the system IP, and system IP is not necessarily like the system IP is like the legal IP address, it's very much same as the router ID in OSPF and BGP. So router ID means like any IP address of like 32 bits, A.B.C.D, not necessarily like a legal IP address, right? So same here, like system IP address is similar, very similar to system router ID. I mean, so what happens here? Reverse lookup is done. How to reach like the system IP address? Is there any path or not? And that is why here in SD-WAN, there are different type of routes. One route is here OMP routes, prefixes that live on our service side VPN, this one. And the route is TLOCs, transport locations defined by three components: system IP, transport means color, and encapsulation. And the third one is service routes. Service routes identifies that identify the tie an OMP route to a service in the network, specifying the location of the service in the network. Like service like includes firewall, IPS, IDS, load balancer. So if one of the like branch or headquarter has like firewall or IPS, IDS, and we want that the traffic should get routed through that site, that location, then there is a concept here in SD-WAN which is known as service chaining. So for that, like this service route is used. So basically, there are three different type of OMP routes, and in order to see this OMP route, the command is show OMP routes and show OMP logs and show OMP services, right? So very quickly, I'm going to show you some basic configuration and commands here and advantage, like what advantage we have in SD-WAN. And of course, I'm also going to show you the dashboard of this vManage, how easily like we can do centralized management, configuration, troubleshooting, simulation. Even we can simulate the traffic. Let's say I want to check the path, what path this edge device is taking in order to reach branch 2 for telnet traffic. So really, I don't need to go to this branch side and then initiate some traffic. No, from here only, from management server itself, we can simulate the traffic for any specific application, ICMP or any service-based traffic. So simulation here is very, very simple, very easy, and it's all done from this centralized controller here. Really? So SD-WAN is like too many benefits, right? Even branch locations, they don't need to route traffic to the data center or headquarter in order to have internet accessibility or in order to access cloud-based applications. Directly, they can go to the internet, direct internet access, which is DIA, right? No need to go to the like headquarter or like data center. Even like some specific models of like WAN devices, if they're running some special code, then they do provide like stateful firewalling, like even next-gen firewall features, right? Not very powerful, but at least if we want like security solution at the branch location, so really we don't need any dedicated firewall. No, not necessarily. For data centers, yes, still a dedicated firewall is required, is needed, where it's not very scalable or extensible, in fact. But at least in order to secure branch locations, branch sites, yes, there is complete security solution. Even route filtering, because here there are two different types of policies. One is like control plane, and another one is data plane. So with control plane policy, we can control the routing update and routing traffic and all that, route filtering, etc. Data plane policy means like will affect the traffic flows. Traffic flows like the application aware routing, for example, AR. It's all done from this controller only, right? So this vManage pushes policy to the vSmart, and then the vSmart like will do like rest of the job, right? And by default, another important point I must like discuss here before I just go and show you a very quick demonstration of all this vManage and controllers and all that. Another important point to understand here in SD-WAN solution is by default is full mesh topology. Full mesh topology. Even there is a headquarter, two branch sites, there is one headquarter, but still there is no like hub and spoke topology. By default, there is no hub and spoke topology. And why it is so? Because OMP path selection, which is of course similar to BGP path selection. So first step is what? To verify, to check whether route is valid or not. Of course, route is valid or not is the very first step. And then the next one is select the route with lower AD value. and OMP default AD value is 250. And if there is tie, then the third one is select route with the higher preference value. Higher preference. But by default, since there is no policy, there is no preference, nothing, as there is no policy at all. And that is why, by default, SD-WAN means full mesh topology. In a small deployment scenario, it's good to go, like to go with this small organization, like I mean, like 10 to 20 sites. That's okay. Like even we can go with the same full mesh topology. But in order to have like hub and spoke topology, of course, that is possible, but we need to create policy. Policy need to be created and pushed to the FANS devices, right? So it's all possible, but policy is required. Even like route filtering, which is very similar to distribute list, what we configure in Cisco, or like BGP routing and all that, we can do that. Inbound and outbound route filtering from centralized dashboard, from vManage only, right? We don't need to do anything locally. Okay, so let me. So now I'm going to show you first like this VS1 device. I'll log in here and show AMP peers. So if you look at the output here, so this V is 1 and where is V is 1? Here it is. This one is V is 1, V is 2 and V is 3. So this V is 1 has OMP peering with whom? vSmart only, right? VS1 and VS2 or VS3 as there is no OMP peering, right? So if again I go back to this router here, and if I run the command show OMP peers, I'm sorry, OMP peering. So here it is the system IP and system IP of what? vSmart. So there is OMP peering with vSmart, right? What about the route? So IP route. Here it has like routes to 172.16.3, 4 and two different routes. One with the MPLS as the transport, another business internet, and there is IPS external, right? And F stands for FIB, forwarding information base, and selected. And it's the VPN number 1, prefix and protocol is what? OMP. So now WAN is one router has route to branch office 2 here. So branch 2 means 172.16.3.4, branch 1 172.16.1.2. So this WAN is router has route to branch 2, of course headquarter as well. And let me show you the proper routing table here. I'm here like V is site 2, and if I check the service side route here, so even both the routes have been installed here, right? Both the routes 3 and particularly I'm just focusing at only one 3.0. So there are two different transport, one MPLS and the business internet. And what is TLOC IP? This one 202. So if I go to VS2 and if I run the command here, so system IP of VS2 is what? 10.2.2.202. So VS has route to 172.16.3.0, right? from this OMP protocol, OMP, and the TLOC IP is same, but TLOC IP is not like the IP reachable or something. It's very much same as the router ID. So now this router need to know how to reach 10.2.2.202 color MPLS and encapsulation IPsec. There are three components of TLOC. What are three components? TLOC IP, this one, color means transport, and encapsulation. So basically here V is 1 and here is V is 2. There are two transport, MPLS and internet and MPLS, right here and here, network and network, 172.16.1.0 and 2.0, and here 172.16.3.0 and 4.0. Now this V is router has two different TLOCs for like 172.16.3.0 prefix. One is via this path MPLS. So this one MPLS, this one, and the what is internet, right? So both the prefixes were previously advertised by VH2, and VH2 router ID, which is basically system IP, is what? This one. Here it is 10.2.2.202. So now this V is 1 need to know like how to reach both TLOC. I mean like the 202 encapsulation and color, right? And that's where like another route comes into picture, and that is TLOCs. So show MP TLOCs, enter. So TLOC entries for 10.2.201 MPLS and IPsec. Received peer is 000, means locally advertised, right? You must have seen this kind of route in BGP, locally advertised route with the next hop 000, again 000. Then here TLOC entries for 10.2.2.202 MPLS and IPsec. So here now there is public IP and private IP. They both are same because there is no NATing involved here, and that is why like public and private IPs both are same. In case if like NAT would have been configured, then definitely private and public IPs will be different then. So public and private and 25005, it means it knows now how to reach this via this 2500, this one 5, right? And another one, this one will be 35005. Okay, so another one, and look at this encapsulation protocol here. AES to encapsulation encryption method AES 256 encapsulation SHA-1 HMAC authentication header SHA-1 HMAC and SPI here, security parameter index. So and different attributes here, and then again TLOC entries for the same system IP, but this time different transport. Color is different, business internet IPsec, and here is reachable via 35005, right? So both the TLOCs are reachable. It means valid. So basically it has OMP routes and TLOC routes, and the third one here is like for services like service chaining. So third route is show OMP services, service routes. So OMP routes, TLOCs and services. And if I show you the control connection here, control and connections, so it has connections with vSmart, vManage, and what about OMP peering? Okay, already shown here like OMP peering with vSmart only. And if I go to vSmart here, so OMP peering, so it should have peering with all three WAN edge devices. Three peering, right? There are three WAN edge devices. WAN is 1, 2, and 3. Site ID 2, Site ID 3, Site ID 1, domain ID, uptime, all the informations here. And what about the control connection? Show control connections, DTLS with the like V1, VS, and inside DTLS, OMP is running by default. Okay. And what if I try to do any config change? Let's say I want to change the host name here. Host name VS only or 1. Okay. Sorry. Host name VS. Any name. No issue. Commit. Now here. See the error message. This device is being managed by the vManage. Configuration through the CLI is not allowed. You understand that? And what minimum configuration is required even in case like if there is no ZTP or PNP. So the minimum configuration required here that need to be done locally. So host name, system IP, site ID, right? The vBond IP, organization name, vBond IP, and there is one transport VPN here that also need to be configured first, right? Transport VPN. Now this part, only the IP address, internal interface, and a netconf service should be allowed. Net configuration protocol. Okay, now I'm going to show you like the dashboard, like the vManage. So vManage dashboard. There is one vSmart, 3 WAN S, all are up, control connection up, vBond 1, vManage 1, reboot, warning invalid, and WAN has health. If I go to VPN dashboard, so it's showing like how many WAN S devices are there, full WAN connectivity with one side, partial WAN connectivity with two different sides, WAN has health, normal, top talkers. And if I go to this geography, and if longitude and latitude have been configured properly, will show up here in the map where all devices have been placed. If I go to network tab here, now let's say I want to run like some commands here on WAN is 1 or 2, right? So a real time, and if let's say I want to run the command similar to like IP routes, do not filter. So same like running IP routes command on WAN S2 device, right? So no need to go there. We can run the command from here only. Any other like OMP, peers, or advertise routes, receive routes, which is similar to like show IP BGP advertise neighbor and then the neighbor IP advertise routes, or show IP BGP neighbor and neighbor IP then receive routes. So similar to that here, like we have OMP receive routes or advertise routes, TLOC routes, do not filter. So really don't need to go to the WAN as device in fact, right? Different routes here. And even if I go to troubleshooting, and if we want like to simulate traffic, even you can run the trace route ping command, control connections, and if we want to simulate the traffic from my VPN, and there is only one VPN I have configured here is VPN 1, and VPN I will talk about There are different types of VPN here, VPN 0, VPN 512, and other VPN. At this point of time, you can understand that VPN is very much similar to VRF concept, virtual routing and forwarding, which runs like own routing instance, and VRF is like routing table virtualization. Same here, like in SD-WAN solution, VPN is used for the network segmentation. Right? There are two reserved VPNs, default VPNs. One is VPN 0, transport, VPN 512 for the management, and other VPNs can be created. And the VPN cannot have like the name assigned to it. The only number is allowed, any number from 1 to 65,530, excluding 512, because 512 is what? Management VPN. So VPN here is similar to VRF concept. The only difference is what? In VRF we can use the name, but in VPN the only numbers are allowed, right? In VRF also, inter VRF routing or communication is by default not allowed. We need to like import and do the import and export. Route, target, import and export. Similar here, like in VPN also, by default, communication between different VPNs are not allowed here. If required, then yes, we can do that. But by default, there is strict isolation between different VPNs, right? So I have created one VPN, that is VPN1 source IP, and let's say from WAN S1, and I want to reach to this IP 1.1 simulate. And even like here, like if you look at the application, if you want to simulate the traffic for any specific application, you can choose the application from here, right? There are more than 1,000 applications. By default, ICMP. By default, ICMP is used here, protocol number 1. Even you can specify the port, like, and the protocol is like 6 or 17, like for TCP and UDP, and the destination port, like you want to simulate traffic for the telnet, SSH, web traffic, FTP traffic, is all possible here. Even DHCP marking, like differentiated service code point, that is also possible. So let's not talk about advanced options here. Let be the default one, like the ICMP, and simulate this. So now, like clearly, like from this output, we understand that there are two different routes, right? One transport is internet, business internet, and the one is MPLS, in and out, in and out. There are two different routes, because in SD-WAN solution, by default, there is no preference. So the default behavior is what? ECMP, equal cost multipath, right? ECMP by default. What if we want to prefer MPLS route over VPN, internet, or internet over VPN? Is that possible? Yes, that is possible. That is possible. Simply we need to set the preference value. How to do that? From this vManage only. vManage. From the vManage, we can do that. We can create the policy, right? So path selection can be based on the preference value, or based on different applications or services. It's all possible here. By default, of course, there is ECMP, equal cost multipath. Okay, so it's very easy to even simulate the traffic from here. We can configure the device, the audit log, alarms, events, and even like if I just show you the policies tab here. So there are two different policies, like centralized and localized policy. Even in centralized policy, which is pushed to the vSmart and then to all WAN edge devices. Here also, even if there are four different steps, like group of interest, and then topology, which is basically control plane policy, and then data plane policy. So whether it's control or data plane policy, we can do everything from the centralized controller only. Control plane policy means which affects the control plane traffic, the routing table exchange, right? Routes. That's what control plane policy means here. Data plane policy means what? Flows will affect the actual path, the path data packet is taking to reach the destination. So we can do all this from here. So here, like, we have the policies and templates, even security option is there. If we want to create a security policy, even like you can integrate this SD-WAN with the Cisco umbrella, right? So even we can create the custom, or we can select from the list, like compliance, guest access, direct cloud access. So if like there is direct cloud access, then what is recommended? That you should have application firewall, intrusion prevention, advanced AMP, like advanced malware protection, and DNS security feature. direct cloud access, only DIA, direct internet access, then you should have all this. And the best option is what? Custom. So if you have like knowledge of all this, then you can create the custom security policy from here, right? It's not very powerful, but at least useful for the branch locations, not for the data centers, but for the branch location. Yes, that is possible. Even you can SSH to the device. So let's say I want to SSH to VS3 device. It is reachable. So very easily I can SSH to the device from here only, right? Here it is. Here we go, admin, and the password is admin. No need to go to the device here. So now here I can check the OMP peers, control plane, other stuff, even show IP routes for VPN1. You can do all this, right? So in case if you want to run the command on a specific device, really you don't need to go there. So SD-WAN is not only about the centralized management. Of course, it is one of the aspect. One of the aspect of SD-WAN is centralized management, configuration, reporting, monitoring, right? Policy, of course, centralized configuration, seamless extension of WAN, extending SD-WAN fabric to the cloud. That is easily possible, right? Even if we want to look at the number of tunnels and all that, then that is also possible. So if I select any device from here, like let's say VS3, and if I want to check the tunnels, like number of tunnels, status of tunnel, because by default BFD is enabled and BFD runs. So from here, like we can find out like all tunnels are up, IPsec tunnel with the VS1 over like MPLS, and VS2 over MPLS, VS1 over internet, VS2 over internet. There are 4 IPsec tunnels, right? And really we don't need to do anything locally on the device. Even we cannot do that. We cannot do, if the devices are vManaged, we cannot do anything locally on the device. You understand that? Okay. And here like too many security features here, event logs, right? So any question up to this point, so you can ask your question. You can now we can sum up the this today discussion. In fact, what we discussed today. Any question up to this point? Yes, like in SD-WAN, of course, like a WAN edge device is your data plane, right? And control, management, and orchestrator plane, they all can be like in on-prem data center or maybe in cloud or managed service provider. So as long there is IP reachability, not to worry with that. And what configuration is required to be done at the edge device, that depends again. In case of ZTP or PNP, no configuration at all, only the internet reachability, DNS name resolution, and even if there is no ZTP or PNP, very minimum configuration is required, right? Like setting up the system IP, clock, vBond IP, and of course certificates. Certificate here is very important here, because if we want to use the enterprise CS certificate, then yes, like the root CS certificate need to be installed to the WAN edge devices prior to putting the devices into this SD-WAN fabric. So that's another important point that need to be very well understood. In fact, the certificate concept, and we will talk about like different options, like what different options we have here for the authentication purpose. But yes, that is for sure that certificates play very important role here in SD-WAN. Like initially, like whenever we are we are onboarding the different controllers. So yes, certificates play very important role here. So that's the only configuration what you need to do at the WAN device, like the system IP, organization name, clock, and the authentication, like installing the root CS certificate, and then just requesting to be registered to the controller device. A command like request and then VS Cloud and then activate and then chassis number, token number, and all that. And I'll show you in the lab session how to set up. And what I will do, I will start from the scratch. I will build the topology from the scratch, because at this point of time, all the devices are pre-configured. So whenever we will start doing our lab, then we will start from the scratch from the very beginning, right? We will learn how to initialize vManage first, and then the vBond and vSmart, how they all are added to the vManage, and then resting vEdge devices to the controller. And vEdge device or maybe cEdge device, like Cisco Edge device. There are two different like terminologies here, vEdge and cEdge device. Any other question, any doubt, or anything you want to ask? No? Yes, netconf is used here, network configuration protocol, for the configuration. And we don't need to like configure anything here. Like no OMP configuration, no GTLS, no IPsec, no IK phase 1, no IK phase 2, right? No BFD. It's all done automatically. Even one-way redistribution is done automatically, right? OSPF intra-area, inter-area, connected and static routes are automatically advertised or redistributed into OMP. But yes, another another direction of redistribution. I mean, like redistributing OMP routes into your service side network. I mean, like your local LAN sort of thing. That need to be done. But again, like you're not going to do that locally on the device. No, not at all. We will do everything from where? From vManage. Once like your vEdge device is registered to the controller, then really you don't need to do anything at the vManage device. Not even like running internal routing protocol or any external routing protocol. No. And even it mix both. You cannot do like some configuration locally and some configuration from the controller. No, even in like Palo Alto firewall, we do this kind of thing, like pushing some configuration from the Panorama, some configuration locally. Here it is not possible, either locally or from the vManage only, right? So if once it is registered to the vManage, then the configuration will be done from the vManage only. Any other question? Yes, here VPN here is like virtual private network is like used to for network segmentation and similar to VRF, but I cannot say like it's exactly same as the VRF. But yes, as VRF we use like for the routing table virtualization to isolate routes of different customers. So here also in SD-WAN solution, let me grab my pen. In SD-WAN here also, like VPNs are like for the network segmentation. For example, here if I have a WAN edge device, so one like interface should be in VPN 0, which is transport VPN, transport, and the VPN which is by default created is 512 management VPN. So two VPNs 0 and 512 both are created, reserved, and for the internal network side, if my internal network here, right? So this interface need to be put in separate VPN, and this VPN is like service side VPN, and the VPN number can be any value from 1 to 65,530, except 512 is reserved for the management VPN, right? So let's say it's WAN device. What about the controllers? Controllers, only two VPNs, right? 0 and 512. Also, there is no concept of service side VPN. And by default, communication between different VPNs not allowed. Same as like VRF concept. If required, yes, that is possible. By default, no. By default, no. Like no like routing or like communication between different VPNs here. Go ahead and ask your question if you have any more question. Yes, like if we conclude this discussion, so in traditional networking, either like there were too many issues or like the configuration was very difficult. For example, in order to configure service-based routing, either PFR or OER, or maybe up to certain extent PBR were used in fact, but not very scalable, and even either just matching with the IP and the port number, and even like configuration, individual configuration. There's no way to push the policy from a centralized controller to the different routers in fact, because in traditional networking a router has, or a device has, all three different planes in the same chassis, like management plane, control plane, data plane, all are in the same chassis. So all routers, they have different planes, right, in the same chassis. In SD-WAN, controllers are decoupled from the device. So like the management and control plane, and the new plane here is orchestrator, vBond, right, completely separated, isolated from the WAN as devices. So yes, it's completely different. So here in SD-WAN, we have like application aware routing, performance based routing on the basis of service level agreement, right, SLA, and route selection, data plane policy is all done from centralized controller only. One of the aspect of SD-WAN. Even if you want to write your own API, application programming interface, you can do that, right? APIs, you can integrate with the vManage, and then finally it is pushed to the vSmart, and then finally to the VS devices. So probability is yes, programming, yes, it is possible. It's another aspect of like this SD-WAN solution, right? So even tools like provided here by vManage are tremendous, like different tools simulating traffic and running all the commands, SSHing to the devices is all possible. Yes, like vSmart here. So we cannot say like it's a route reflector. Yes, up to certain extent, yes, it's working as a like IBCP route reflector, because WAN S devices S1 and S2, they do not directly exchange routing database, right? S1 advertises routes to vSmart. vSmart receives route from S1 and then advertises to S2, right? Again, S2 and then S1. Data plane, control plane exchange. Control plane exchange is done via this vSmart. But what about the data plane? There is no involvement of vSmart, right? Because V is like the S devices, they establish IPsec tunnel directly with each other, and with no configuration at all. With no configuration at all. IPsec tunnel between both the S devices. So to is SD-WAN solution, yes, like some of the features, you can assume like some of the feature of SD-WAN are like from PFR or OER, and of course like some features from DMVPN, some like similarities with IBGP up to certain extent, but not exactly the same as like DMVPN, PFR, OER. It's a bit different. It addresses like a lot of like traditional routing issues, even providing secure internet connectivity, performance-based internet connectivity, direct internet access. Even nowadays, like a lot of applications are moving or just migrating to the cloud. So as I mentioned, like even like your branch office need not to route traffic to the headquarter or data center for internet reachability. Directly, they can have internet access, right? And it's need of the hour, because like maybe this branch office user have like too many applications hosted in the cloud, like the software as a service. So really they want like direct internet access. So it's possible. And even like if there is redundancy, ASP redundancy, so we can configure like routing based on certain service level agreement parameters like jitter, delay, and packet loss. Uh, 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 at this point of time, like as there is no way to define our own cloud-based applications are well defined here, like the Office 365, Dropbox, and some other applications. So as there is no way, don't know, like maybe in future they can provision in such a way that we can specify our own application. But at this point of time, like commonly used software-based service like SaaS applications are listed here. So we can just use them only. So we cannot, like like do for our custom application hosted in the cloud. And it's known as cloud on RAM for SaaS. And there is another feature which is cloud on RAM for infrastructure as a service, like extending WAN to the AWS VPC, like a virtual private cloud, extending like this SD-WAN fabric to the VPC. And I will explain later on how to do all this. If you have like familiarity with AWS cloud or microservices, then I'll show you the step like how to extend SD-WAN fabric to the AWS cloud VPC. That's another solution, in fact, infrastructure as a service, not like SaaS. All right, then if you don't have any other question to ask, so I'm just ending up here.